Hi Scorpio, welcome to your June 2019 Astrology 33 reading. We have a Celtic cross spread in front of us. You guys got a lot of extra cards that came up this month, so I don't know if it's because I'm recording this so close after the full moon you guys had or what, but it's going to be an interesting reading. I can see that already. Hopefully we can make some sense of it as we go through it. But yeah, and also, before I forget, for those of you who are interested in booking a personal reading, following me on Instagram, or donating to the channel, you can check out the description of the video for more info on that. And also, once all of these general readings are up, I'll start posting some bonus videos for all the signs for this month as well. So keep an eye out for that. That'll probably be, within a week after all of the general readings are all up. All right. So, yeah, this could be one of those readings where it might really resonate heavily for a few of you, and then for others of you, you might be like, what is he even talking about? Looking at how many cards are on the table, I might be asking myself what I'm talking about as we go through some of this, quite frankly, but we'll see. We'll see if we can make some sense out of all this stuff, all right? Let's get started. The card in the main situation position you guys have is the Eight of Wands. So maybe this is part of why there's so many cards that popped up for you guys this month. Maybe this could just be saying that you have a lot going on. Technically this is a card that represents the first 10 degrees of Sagittarius. But, Sagittarius is also the ruler of the 9th house. So right now in your 9th house, we actually have Mars in those degrees. So Cancer is your 9th house. We have Mars in those degrees right now. So that could just be saying that that area of life is really emphasized for you right now. Especially if you follow ancient astrology, they do say that one of your co-rulers is Mars along with Pluto. So, that could really just be saying that as Mars moves through the zodiac, that's where your focus can shift as well. So, if that's what's going on, of course, people, when we see this card, we often think about communication. But this could also represent maybe doing some traveling. Could be long distance traveling if that's the case as well. So maybe that's where your focus is right now. Like I said, especially with Mars in that sign right now, it's going to be there through basically all the month of June, I think. Then I think maybe at the start of July it moves into the sign of Leo. So yeah, could just be where your focus is right now. But where it gets a little more interesting is in the challenge or obstacle position. You got a lot of cards that came up. So hang with me here on this. So we got the Devil card, the Emperor, the Chariot, and the Three of Pentacles. So first of all, it's pretty heavy that you got 3 major arcana cards coming up in your challenge. For me, one way that could play out is to say that this is just saying that, this is going to be a very karmic time for you. I know you guys just got through that full moon, so you're probably like, great, I think I'm all done with karma for now, right? But, this could just represent what's interesting to me, actually, before I go into specifically what this could mean. One thing that stuck out to me as the cards were coming out is this is actually Major Arcana card for Capricorn, which is a cardinal sign. This is the Major Arcana card for Aries, which is another cardinal sign. This is the Major Arcana card for Cancer, a third cardinal sign. And this is actually going in order, too, from your sign. The first cardinal sign after, you guys are Scorpio. So the first cardinal sign you would see if you went through the zodiac wheel would be Capricorn, then Aries, then Cancer, and then lastly would be Libra. So, there may be something to the fact that that's what's missing, right? This could be saying that for some of you, maybe you have those areas of your life all sewed up. Maybe your family life is good, your career, you're handling things on a personal level well, because Aries representing the first house. But maybe the one thing that's missing is maybe you don't have any stability in your relationship. So maybe that's what you're trying to work towards, right? It's like, okay, I have those areas of my life in order right now. The one thing that I need to work on is building a stable foundation for a relationship. But what this could also be saying as well, I feel like this could just be really trying to shake a bad habit or, some kind of an addiction, basically. And with the Emperor, this could just be saying that you're really determined to do that this month. And then with the Chariot coming up after that, it looks like you can see some success if that's the case. And then with that Three of Pentacles showing that, you could build some stability from there. So maybe, for example, let's just look at a couple of examples. Since it's the Devil card and I see him holding that there, let's say he was smoking, right? You've been smoking, you've had a really hard time shaking the habit, right? But now, for whatever reason, maybe with that full moon energy, you really started to evaluate that and say to yourself, all right, I really need to get rid of this habit, right? So the Emperor is saying that, you really dig in and really, get determined to conquer that habit. And then the Chariot could show some success there. And then that Three of Pentacles could show the stability with that, restoring stability. This could also represent a workplace. So let's say, this might be a job that you've had that you just felt like you couldn't really break away from it, right? Maybe for some odd reason you felt obligated to stay with them, even though you felt they weren't treating you right. Maybe they were the first ever job you got or something, right? Maybe the employer took a chance on you when it seemed like you were having a really hard time getting a job. So in that way, you felt almost indebted to them, right? And then this could just be saying that, this could be a boss that, is really, really controlling and really, hindering your progress. And maybe you're coming to a realization that you need to break free from that in order to build something stable that you're happy with in your life. So that could be what's going on there. And, this could just be maybe just any type of karmic connection. Could be romantic relationships as well. Like let's say this is a connection you've been in and you're starting to realize that maybe you're going through repetitive cycles with this person, right, that aren't healthy for you, but you're just having a really hard time breaking those chains. This Emperor energy popping up here could just be saying that now this month you'll have that determination to finally break those chains. And then that Chariot could represent the success in doing so. The Chariot's often referred to as a victory card. And then, that'll help you build stability once you get that toxic connection out of your life. And then lastly, what this could be pointing to is, if we didn't go through enough already, we have the Devil card representing Capricorn, and right now the South Node is in that sign. The Chariot represents Cancer, the North Node is in that sign, and right now we have Mars, which is, the ruler of Aries. So the Emperor card here could be representing Mars. Mars is in the sign of Cancer. So as Mars is moving through the sign of Cancer, it's going to be interacting with that North Node and the South Node, and you guys are ruled by Pluto, and Mars is actually going to oppose Pluto in the sign of Capricorn as well. So that could be what this is pointing to. Just saying that there's a lot of interaction between third house and ninth house stuff for you guys. So, this could just be saying maybe you've sold yourself short, let's say, right? Like maybe these are just restrictive beliefs that someone gave, maybe like I said, if it's a boss who makes you feel like, oh, you can't do any better, right? Maybe they're oppressive in that way. The ninth house would represent seeing the bigger picture there, so this could even just say, being almost trapped in your own mind, essentially, with the Devil there, because the Devil, Capricorn, is your third house that represents communication. So it could just be self-limiting beliefs that you might have, and now you're finally getting rid of those. You're seeing the big picture, and that's going to help you build some stability in your life that maybe up until this point you hadn't had. So another reason that this could be pointing to a workplace dynamic is because in the foundation position we have the Page of Pentacles. So the main vibe that I'm getting with this card being here is to say that you feel like something's just out of your reach, right? So if we look at the page, he's reaching for that pentacle and it's kind of sort of in his hands, but not quite, so if we look at that pentacle as representing stability, or maybe even just straight up finances in general, right? Maybe you feel like something's just out of your reach. So maybe this is just pointing to you working really hard at a job with the ultimate goal of being promoted, right? Maybe the emperor. You're like, okay, I'm going to work really hard at this job so I could get promoted to manager, right? That'll give me the forward movement in my career that I'm looking for. And, with the Eight of Wands, that could definitely be the case, saying that you really are working hard at it, but yet you just still feel like it's right out of your reach. So that could be the dynamic that's going on there. And this could just be stability in your life in general. You just might feel like something, is just out of your grasp, essentially. And like I said, especially for those of you, if it is some kind of an addiction, or just like I said, a bad habit or repetitive behavior that you've maybe caught light of with that full moon that you guys just had, maybe it brought it to light for you where you realize, okay, maybe this is something where, somewhere I've been getting in my own way. Maybe this is saying this month you're actually going to get, have some success and progress towards getting rid of that. So, especially looking at some of the cards we'll see as we get a little bit further into the spread. Told you guys this is kind of a crazy reading, so hopefully this is making sense for at least some of you out there, but I have a feeling this could just be for a small group of you. But yeah, in the past position, we have the Knight of Swords, the Knight of Pentacles, and the Four of Wands. So this is actually a court card that represents Gemini. This is a court card that represents Virgo. And this is a card that represents the last 10 degrees of Aries. So, let's look at this in a few different ways. Let's say that maybe you're considering a romantic relationship, right? Okay, this is where I see myself, right? Building that type of relationship. And maybe there are two people in the picture. Maybe there was an air sign, possibly a Gemini, and then an earth sign, possibly a Virgo, right? And maybe you're trying to decide between the two. Another way that this could be playing out, since like I said, I see that devil dynamic there, and feeling like it could be tied into workplace dynamics as well. This could just be saying that, you felt like you were really working hard, really busting your ass in your work life, but it felt like the rewards for it were coming slow, right? And ultimately you were hoping to get that kind of stability, that foundation, but you felt like it might have been a bit out of your grasp, like we said with that Page of Pentacles in the foundation position. This could just be also trying to decide between two different approaches, because it's interesting. These are both mutable energies, Gemini and Virgo, both knights, but, we can see one of them's moving very swiftly. You could just tell from the environment, and the other one's barely moving at all, right? So, could be that contrast there too of, okay, what approach do I want to take to get my stability? Trying to decide which of those two approaches would get you the best results. In the present position, we have the Hermit. So this is another Virgo energy here, so you could definitely be dealing with a Virgo for sure. Nine of Cups, that's actually a Pisces energy, the middle 10 degrees of Pisces, and then the 10 of Cups, which is actually the last 10 degrees of Pisces. But really what I'm feeling with this is, again, I'm just feeling like you're really looking for stability this month. And maybe you could say on the surface that who wouldn't, right? That a lot of people look for stability, but I just feel like this is really a focus of yours for whatever reason. And with that Hermit energy, this could just be saying that you're really introspective, which, wouldn't surprise me too much. Like I said, I'm recording this right after the full moon that was in your sign. So, maybe you're just really still going inward, trying to think about things, and this could just be saying, you might be happy with things to an extent, but you might just really be evaluating, well, how can I make that next step, right? How can I get the maximum happiness? So, especially like I said, for those of you, if the fact that we have 3 of the 4 cardinal energies here, and the one that was missing would be the Libra one, which would represent relationships. So maybe that's, pointing to you. In the present, you're happy overall with your life. Like, yeah, I have a successful career. I have, my family life is strong. I'm content with who I am as a person, right? Like this person's energy. They look like they're definitely content and know what they bring to the table, but maybe now you're really evaluating, but how do I make that next step, right? How do I incorporate someone else into my life? How do I get a relationship, you know, that fits in with everything else going on in my life? So that could really be what you're evaluating right now. Um, which I guess in a way would make sense. I mean, you guys do have Venus in your opposite sign right now. And, it'll be there for, I think, the first week or so, maybe a little bit longer than that, before it moves into the sign of Gemini in the month of June. So, maybe that's just where your focus has been. You're like, okay, I have all these other things sewn up right now. What's the next step I can take to get my relationship, that area of my life moving in a positive direction? In the near future position, we have the Sun and we have the Seven of Cups. So really, I'm not picking up on a lot from this. This particular message, unlike most of this reading, this one almost jumped out to me immediately, which is to say that I feel like for most of you, what this is saying is that you're going to see the light now regarding situations that you might have been confused around. Because if we look at that, the Seven of Cups, from our perspective, we could see the cups clearly. We could see what's in them, and easily we could decide if we wanted to touch them or not go anywhere near them, right? But this person here, they look like they're clearly in the dark. So with the Sun, that could just be saying that it's going to shine some light on the situation for you. So anywhere where you might not have had clarity, such as listening to this reading so far, right? Maybe in the near future, it's saying that you will get clarity regarding whatever that is. Another thing that actually is sticking out to me about this now is if we think about the Sun, it could be a Leo, for example. So maybe there's a Leo in your life. Maybe if there are multiple people that you're trying to decide between, maybe you would choose to go with Leo. But Leo rules the fifth house. And in your fifth house is Pisces. Neptune is in that house right now, and that could cause this type of energy. This is actually a Scorpio card. It's the last 10 degrees of Scorpio, but I see it as like a mixture of the Scorpio energy with the Neptune energy, so that's where like that confusion comes into play. Neptune is actually going to go retrograde towards the end of June. So maybe, especially given that this is in a near future position, maybe that's saying that once Neptune does go retrograde, some of that fog in that area of life will clear for you. So, fifth house could represent romance, children. So for those of you who have children, or maybe even if you're trying to decide if you want children or not, some of that fog can lift for you in the near future when Neptune goes retrograde. And lastly, this could just be saying that, this could be you coming out of a fog. I think, in the last month's reading, we were mentioning that some of you might have, it seemed like some of you definitely could have been going through some kind of depression. So maybe, and I felt like going towards the end of the month then, too, that it seemed like it was going to be lifting for you. So maybe for some of you, if you hadn't quite gotten out of it, as we get into the month of June, it looks like, that will start to come for you as we get a little bit later into this month. So that could be what's going on there. And then lastly, if we look at that representing Leo energy again too, Leo is your 10th house, which is career and social status. So maybe you'll get some clarity or even some recognition in that area of your life as well in the near future. And what's interesting is we see more of that theme play out here because in the position of your influence on the situation, we have the Strength card, which is actually the major arcana card for Leo. And we have the Magician. So, however crazy this reading's been so far, these are two of the best possible cards you could have in your influence on the situation. First of all, if you look at them, they both have that infinity symbol, right? So some significance there. Like this is actually another Leo energy as well. To me, this card here represents, I view it as another Jupiter card. just like with the Wheel of Fortune, for example. But I also view this as South Node energy as well. So this would be pointing to communication. So, maybe with the energy going on in your third house, maybe this is saying, you need to communicate. So, maybe if there's someone in particular, like I said, if it's an overbearing boss or, a relationship where you feel like you guys are button heads and maybe you feel like you're just stuck in the connection, maybe this is saying that, you need to speak up this month. But to me, the main thing that I'm getting with this strength, especially with the sun in the near future too, it could just be saying that you're revitalized. Maybe that full moon was kind of cathartic for you guys. Maybe you were able to release some stuff and finally able to move forward. And with the magician alongside with the strength card, it just shows that you have some powers to manifest things right now. So keep that in mind. Heavy manifestation time for you. And what you want to keep in mind too is you might not think this automatically, but with all the energy that's going to be going on in Gemini through the month of June, keep in mind that Gemini is your eighth house. And you guys are the natural rulers of the eighth house. So, it might not be the same as if the sun and everything is moving through the sign of Scorpio, but there's still that symbiotic relationship there as far as it is the eighth house for you. So, you guys are very comfortable with that energy. So this is a good month for you guys to make progress too. In the position of the environment's influence on the situation, we have the Six of Wands and the Two of Wands. So what this could be pointing to, usually to me, the Six of Wands just represents recognition. It doesn't have to be anything huge. Like I say to some people, this is a Leo card again, so you definitely have some Leo energy on the table, so you could be dealing with Leo without a doubt. But this is a Leo card, and the way I explain it to people is, I'm like, it could just be as simple as when it's someone's birthday and everyone, wishes them happy birthday. Maybe they all go out and celebrate, right? It doesn't have to be anything huge, but this does represent recognition and some kind of victory in some regard. And then with that Two of Wands, this could just be pointing to a reset. Maybe you've been able to start over. Like I said, for those of you who, if this is some kind of a habit that you were trying to kick, or maybe a toxic relationship or a toxic job that you were in, and this month you finally break away from that. This could just be saying that your friends celebrate that. Like, oh, we're happy to see you. Finally get out of that situation. You're finally making progress, moving forward, right? That could be what's going on there. Yeah, especially like I said, with the stuff going on in the third and ninth house axis with the south node, north node, could just be saying you're just looking at the big picture now, and for some of you, it could represent even just wanting to take some kind of long distance travel. And maybe through doing so, you expand your horizons. Maybe you've always played it safe, you've always felt more comfortable staying close by, so you never really traveled very far, but you might just feel that calling to do so now with the North Node in your ninth house and Mars moving through that sign too. Maybe you just feel this really strong pull to go travel somewhere outside your normal area, and maybe that's going to end up bringing some insight to you. In the hopes or fears position, we have the Two of Swords. So, I don't necessarily see this as a fear. I'm thinking this is probably more of a hope, and if that's the case, it could just saying that you're hoping to quiet your mind and just really make a logical decision. Like I said, if this is about breaking away from something, maybe because the reason I say trying to quiet your mind and just make a decision strictly based on logic is if we look at that water in the background and also that moon, and she clearly has her back to it, to me that's like turning her back on her emotions, right? And just strictly want to make a decision based on logic. Like, I don't want to see anything that could influence my decision. I don't want to, hear anything, right? I just want to think in peace and try to come to a conclusion that way. And with the hopes, this in the hopes or fears position doesn't necessarily mean that energy is going to play out. It's just something that you're hoping for. And this could just have to also do with that hermit energy that we see in the present. You're just hoping for a little quiet time to really process things and see what your next move is going to be. All right, and in the outcome position, you guys got the Eight of Swords and the Ten of Wands. So to me, this, especially with all those cardinal energies that we did see in the challenge position, this is actually a card that represents the first 10 degrees of Gemini. So, at the time of recording this, basically, that's more or less where we're going to be in those first 10 degrees of Gemini. And then this represents the last 10 degrees of Sagittarius. So this could just be saying maybe something that you weren't ready to move on during that time, towards the end of May, right before June kicked off. By the time we have that full moon in Sagittarius, which will be in those last 10 degrees of Sagittarius, I think it's around maybe the 17th of June, give or take a day on either side. So, maybe by the time of that full moon, you decide how you want to move forward, whether, like I said, it'd be to move away from something completely or to just decide to rededicate yourself to it. But definitely represents movement, especially compared to the energy we see here, where the person's just not moving at all, and almost like staying in that Two of Swords position for too long, right? It looks like just standing there, not making any movement, those swords just piling up, but there's not any progress being made. And then at the bottom of the deck too, I almost forgot to mention, you guys have the Five of Swords. So this represents ego conflicts. So again, like I said, especially if there's some kind of a toxic environment you've been involved in, like I said, whether it's a workplace dynamic, even a friendship group, relationship, whatever the case may be, and you might feel like you keep finding yourself in this dynamic over and over, that might be a sign that you either need to break that connection or really get to the bottom of what's going on with that person or group of people, whatever the case may be. Clearly it's a sign that something's not right, and that's the thing with this type of energy. You often hear tarot readers say with this card, it's that one where no one comes out a winner really, because it's strictly based on ego, this type of conflict. So what ends up happening is, okay, yeah, you might win, quote unquote, right? But then you see the other two people walking away, and nothing productive is going to come out of that. So yeah, maybe you will win, quote unquote, but what's more likely is either those people be out of your life for good, or when they come back, it's going to be a repeat of that same cycle because they're going to want to have the upper hand that time, So, and what's good about that is beneath that we actually have the World card. So this could just be saying that finally we're going to see a successful completion of this cycle, where whether you cut that out completely or whatever the case may be, that's definitely at least a good sign to see beneath the Five of Swords there. All right, and next we'll move to the Oracle cards. The first one you guys got is Orphaned. There's the artwork for it, and it's number 5 if that has any significance for you guys. We'll read the messages for that. All right, it says a sense of loss and identity crisis, recognizing that you don't fit in, the need to belong, uncertainty about your place. The Oracle's message: we were all meant to have connections with other people within our families, society, and the larger culture. No man is an island, and it's important to recognize when being a part of, rather than separate from, is essential to your well-being. The issue at hand is the need to find where you fit. Be true to your core truths and values. Perhaps you no longer identify with a group or community the way you did before and need to find a new situation. You might be feeling a deep sense of loss or confusion. Address the need for belonging and know that you will find your place with others of like mind and spirit. It's okay to let go of pressure to fit in. Not everyone will understand you. It's time to move on. So, like I said, maybe that's what it was. For some of you, maybe that devil card represents even like a friend group that you've been around for a long time, right? And maybe you guys just aren't vibing with each other the way that you used to. But, with fixed signs in general, and especially you guys can sometimes be loyal to a fault. So that could even be what it's saying, where, you're getting those signs that really you might have outgrown them, right? Like maybe if you guys always end up getting into fights like this, or in the workplace too. Maybe the workplace is always contentious, but you just felt like that sense of duty, that sense of obligation, like, oh well, this is my group, right? Maybe it's saying that rather than trying to acquiesce and try to fit in that way, maybe it's just a sign that maybe it's time for you to move on from them. And what's interesting to me too, after reading that, it makes me think about the cards in the past here. So we have the air element, we have the pentacles element, which is the earth element, excuse me, and then we have the fire element, but no cups, right? So maybe that's what you've really been looking at, or will be looking at rather in the present with the hermit. Maybe that's you looking at, what? All right, that's cool that I'm doing all those things, but after all, you guys are water signs, right? Like you might not embrace that as openly as Pisces and Cancer, but you guys are still water signs. So maybe that's you realizing that, what? I've been doing this, that, and the other, but in the end, I've almost, detached from myself and my own true quality in the process, right? So maybe that's what that's saying for some of you. All right, the relationship message says as you shift and evolve and commit to your own growth, you long for support but may be disappointed and hurt by others who are not providing what you feel you deserve. Perhaps you are drifting away from this relationship because you're in a different stage of personal growth. Perhaps you are in a new relationship and discovering that you don't share the same values and beliefs, so you feel left out, unable to get to that intimate place of safety and belonging. Take heart, as Spirit knows you and loves you, and will steer you in the direction of those who accept you as you are without artifice or agenda. Don't compromise yourself to belong. It won't be worth the price. So that's an interesting message there. I don't really see that vibe of you really, at least as we move forward, compromising who you are to fit in. If anything, like I said, with the sun energy there, the strength, the magician, to me, it looks like it's saying you have great power to manifest right now. So, maybe this is just saying to really let your own personality shine, and then that'll draw more things to you, right? Maybe that's where that Six of Wands comes into play. By being yourself, you might get celebrated, and then that'll get you that new start that you've been longing for, basically. That fresh start. All right, the prosperity message says this card reminds you that you can't be all things to all people. You are not going to be popular with everyone, and that has to be okay with you. Be clear about your mission, your brand, your work persona, and your contribution to the world, as these must be based on what you authentically have to offer, not something you think will sell or you perceive they may want. You will attract abundance by being completely yourself. Stay in your own lane. That's where you will shine and where you'll experience prosperity. So, it's actually interesting reading that message. It almost reminds me of there was a time last year with you guys. It might even been around this time last year where the message was, staying true to yourself and shining. And maybe it's just that, maybe it's just the fact that we're just coming off that Scorpio full moon, like I said, and then you also have the sun in your eighth house. So maybe this is just that time for you in general where you guys find yourselves reevaluating, where you're at, which would make sense, full moon, especially for a water sign, having a full moon, that's a good time to reflect and see where you want to move forward. And then having the sun in the sign that you naturally rule too could really have you looking at things. So hopefully you guys got something out of that. Then your second oracle card is actually from the Spirit Animal Oracle deck, and you guys got Peacock Spirit. It says let it shine. There's the artwork for that. And the number for this one's 46. So already this looks like more of that same message, but we'll see as far as, really just letting your own true personality shine. Alright, it says, when is the last time you shook a tail feather and shined your light for all to see? Within each of us is a peacock spirit yearning for expression, and you are called now to show the world the gorgeous creature you are, for you are a manifestation of spirit. Come out of the shadows, Peacock Spirit says, and show your true colors so that others may be inspired to express their own exquisiteness. Dance as if you remember that you are made of stardust and grace, filled with life force energy and sparkling light. You are a channel for divine love, and your dance is one of a kind. Catch the light and help it to shimmer and dance in celebration of your good fortune of being right here, right now. Spirit wants you to be joyful so that others may get up and dance along with you. So, yeah, I mean, basically, like I said, in a way, it does seem to point out that message again, as far as just being authentic and really letting yourself shine. And like I said, for some of you, it could have just been some kind of an addiction or just a bad habit that you were stuck in, and this month is just for whatever reason. And like I said, maybe it's because of that Mars transit through your ninth house, and it's going to oppose the stuff going on in the sign of Capricorn. Maybe that's what's finally helping you shake loose those energies. But yeah, either way, like I said, you can't go wrong by being yourself anyway, in my book. And I mean, especially you guys, it always seems weird to have to tell you guys that. So could just be a few of you just going through a tough time right now, but message seems to be to reconnect with yourself. So hopefully you got some from that too. All right, and then lastly, we have a mudra card. So for those of you who haven't been watching my videos this year, basically I pull a mudra card for each of the signs, and what a mudra is it's a hand gesture that you use while meditating. You hold it for anywhere from 5 minutes to up to 45 minutes to an hour sometimes. If you're not used to meditating, 5 minutes would be fine just to start. And their purpose is to actually help clear blockages. So, usually more of a mental, emotional block, but even sometimes physical blocks. And the one that you guys got for this month is the Mahashirsha mudra. And the keyword for this one is relief. And this is the actual mudra itself. And then what I'll do is I'll hold the info up around the mudra. So if you guys wanted to take a screenshot of it or, pause it to read what it has to say, you can. Alright, and then I'll just move it up since you can't see the entire card from there. Alright, so yeah, it says relieves headaches, reduces tension in the eyes, breaks up congestion in the frontal sinuses, and improves mental clarity. So for the improves mental clarity part, that makes me think of the Seven of Cups energy we saw. But yeah, just in general, if you're feeling a bit unsure of yourself in some way, maybe this can help with that. And what I'll do too is I'll put the name of this mudra in the description of the video for those of you interested in looking into it some more. Like I said, this was definitely a pretty weird reading. There was a lot of cards that came out. So hopefully we made some sense of it, and more importantly, hopefully you guys got something out of it as well. But yeah, let me know in the comments, I guess, if it did resonate. But I'll talk to you guys next month, alright? Bye.